I think the description is accurate that the recovery is well underway, has made some terrific progress, and has a very high ceiling ahead. But I think what we observed when we visited the market back in March, and I led a trip with my Hong Kong colleague Andrew Lee and some investors, is that the recovery is going to happen in an uneven fashion. And I think what we saw tonight was some very good progress, but the buy side expecting a little too much perfection and getting a little carried away with itself. And I think in some of the numbers that we talked about, the margin gains were not quite as strong as what the street was expecting. In our case, relative to our model, our numbers were a bit conservative, and the revenues and EBITDA came in stronger, but the margin was quite a bit lower. And I think as we look through the remainder of this year and into next year, that margin is the number we're going to have to keep in mind.
What happens? What about when we break out Sands China's numbers?
Right. And those comments that I made are specific to Macau, the Macau segment. Singapore was actually very close to what our estimates were. It was really Macau, and Macau is the driver of the stock for the time being, particularly with the Londoner, which looks terrific and is a great addition to that portfolio, but is going to take some time to ramp up, particularly on the bottom line. And I think that was the discussion that we pursued through the earnings call, and we're thinking about and looking at our model this evening post those results.
David, so you were out there in Macau getting a chance to look at the Big Ben, the Westminster Abbey. We were there as well for the launch of the ceremony with that of Robert Goldstein when that took place, adding supply into the Macau market. This was 2 years in the making. They kind of soft launched during the pandemic and then had a big ceremony when things reopened. 6,000 hotel rooms for this new integrated resort with 2 casinos. But what's next for Sands in Macau?
Right. I think what's next for Sands is that they continue to position themselves for the new normal, right? This market is not going to be what it was prior to COVID, primarily because the VIP business is essentially gone away. And so what we're left with is a mass gaming business in a range. And so I think the Londoner is a first step for them positioning themselves in the premium mass segment and trying to gain share, which they have already started to do.